This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
We're here live with you on this Thursday, a terrific Thursday. I want to add in there from the Culver studio. This is the Meltdown. I am Tim Melton. Joining me in studio is the one, the only Tyler Lionel Johns. Tyler, how you doing, man? You've had
I'm good.
a great attitude today. I just want to point that out. Like
I appreciate it.
you brought joy to my life today in a way that is unimaginably difficult to describe. And I just appreciate your overall aura. So thank you so much.
I appreciate the compliment. I got to see one of my favorite movies ever last night, Seven, and I don't know if I'm just sort of delusional from sleep deprivation this week, or if I'm just riding the high of seeing such a great movie on the big screen for the first time.
I agree with you. You know, there's a lot of highs to ride around here, including, you've been shoulder to shoulder with Bo a few times today, which is always a fun time. And, sometimes there's inspiration within the building that propels you to stronger heights. E.g., how are you doing? How's life treating you? Because I feel like, um, you haven't had the same aura that Tyler's had, but it's still been okay.
Okay, thank you, Tim, for that. I've been lovely, just lovely.
Okay, I can tell. Have you eaten anything? Are you hangry right now?
Could be potentially.
I'm actually gonna halfway blame Tyler for your whole vibe you're giving off today. Because
I offered to grab her lunch.
well, I know. Hear me why I'm blaming you, Tyler.
Huh?
You have loaded her up with sugary sweets,
Oh, yeah, she's crashing today.
and she's crashing
Right.
off the sugary sweets
Um,
because you are like an addict when it comes to the sugar gummy sour candy.
yeah, and now that I think about it, I really have been good like all year. I haven't really eaten a lot of candy, and I had a lot.
It's
Tyler
a bad year for you.
I know.
Tyler gives you a bag of goodies, and all of a sudden, you're just coming off the sugar rush. I think.
Yeah, I'm crashing.
But we're gonna pull through together.
We
We're
are.
here for one another. We're like
Yeah.
three musketeers.
Yeah.
All for one for all.
Yes,
Here we go. Let's
that's
push through.
us.
You've been on an upswing in your poker game, which is good.
Yep.
I've been on a downswing in my poker game. I've been getting coolered a couple times. I still feel like I'm making the right plays, but just not getting the right outcomes. That's okay. I'm going to keep pushing the right plays, ultimately win over time. But content consumption for me has been bad lately. Like I'm on a downswing in poker a little bit with the results. I'm on a downswing in content consumption. I loved
Okay.
The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson. Thought it was a fantastic film.
Mhm.
Tyler, not as big of a fan of that film. Has it ranked lower than some of the movies that we had as our biggest trash movies of 2024 list. Has it ranked lower than some of
Wow.
those. So he was not a fan. That's okay. I still think it's a 4.5 out of 5 for me personally. It's not something I would recommend to everyone, but I really like it. But other than that, that's really the bright spot because I haven't really enjoyed a lot lately. We've been doing DVD mystery boxes here on the show, and the last haul was not a great one in my opinion, but one that has been in both hauls. I rewatched Failure to Launch. Okay, now is this a movie that says Tim Melton, you're gonna love this, right?
No,
No, and I've seen this before, but I didn't remember anything about it because I think all the Matthew McConaughey rom coms they sort of blend together.
they do blend. I'm actually failing to remember what Failure to Launch is about.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, because I forgot some stuff and then I rewatched it and this movie's awful.
Oh,
This movie it's not like it's just like it's so cute it's bad or something. It's not like I can handle rom-coms. I like a couple of
yeah.
rom-coms.
Can you name those? Which ones do you like?
Um,
The
Forgetting
Proposal?
Sarah Marshall and Couples Retreat are my personal favorites.
those while they are rom-coms, those are more dude rom-coms.
Yeah.
I'm
I
talking
would agree
about
with that. Yeah.
movies that are aimed towards females. There was one that came out recently with Jennifer Lawrence. I
Oh, Silver Linings Playbook?
no.
No,
Okay.
Is it called? It wasn't Anyone But You.
it
That
was
was
something like that
the
though.
Glenn Powell movie. but I can't remember. It was something where she gets hired to
She's like she gets hired to be a girlfriend to that like college kid.
correct,
Yeah.
who's a super
Oh.
introvert, and she gets hired to date him and bring him out of his shell. And I can't remember the name of it. It's not Anyone But You. That's the Sydney Sweeney, Glenn
No hard
Powell.
feelings.
No Hard Feelings. Thought the title was off, but I enjoyed the movie. Anyway, point is, EG, I rewatched this load of garbage the other night, Failure to Launch. This is what is not expected in this movie, okay?
Okay.
Tyler, Matthew McConaughey in this movie is constantly being attacked by wild animals.
What?
I know. There's a whole subplot in this movie of Zoe Deschanel trying to obtain a powerful enough firearm to kill a bird outside of her window as well. That is protected, a protected bird. Makes no sense why it's in here. And there are things about this movie that I just did not simply remember. Subplots. Bradley Cooper's in this movie.
He is?
Bradley Cooper
Didn't
plays the best friend along with Justin Bartha. Both of them ended up going on to be in The Hangover together, but they're zany, make no sense. I watched the DVD extras where Justin Bartha and Bradley Cooper are trying to find someone who's still living with their parents in their late 20s and then give them 6 months free rent. So
That'd
that
be
wa-
a lot easier to find these days than when the movie was made.
that is correct. They talk about it like it's a phenomenon. There's a whole documentary in the bonus features about the phenomenon of 22-year-olds still living with their parents. And I'm like,
Ooh.
this didn't age well.
No.
This didn't age
No,
well.
they did not foresee 26, 27, up to 30-year-olds still struggling to find jobs out of college.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? And with the economy, this movie is ancient in its ideology.
Yeah.
But Terry Bradshaw plays the dad. He's not the worst part of this. There's weird animal encounters the entire time where it's just like the movie's going along and you're expecting them to go out on some dates and stuff. And Matthew McConaughey is fighting a lizard, or he's getting attacked by a chipmunk,
I don't like
or
that.
I mean, it's really zany. And I hate this movie, Failure to Launch. It's really not good. And I thought it would just be sort of a throwaway
Yeah, so what are you
rom-com.
what are you gonna do with that? 'Cause we have 2 copies.
You want it?
No.
Okay.
I'm okay.
It's gonna stay in here for a second. Rom-com is awful. I mean, rom-com. No Hard Feelings is awful.
No,
No,
no, no. Failure to launch.
Failure to Launch is awful. We're all over the place today. I'm
You're
sorry.
going full Dunaway today.
Did you see How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days with Matthew McConaughey?
Yes,
Thoughts?
better than
Like,
this by
agreed.
far.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
yeah,
The
better.
Proposal?
Yeah, saw it with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock.
Like it?
Yeah, it's good.
27 Dresses?
With Katherine Heigl.
Yes.
Saw it.
Liked it?
It was fun.
Okay.
Like I'm not.
I'm impressed. She was quizzing you.
Well, I wanted to prove after what seemed like I couldn't come up with a single rom-com that I actually do watch rom-coms. Having been in a committed relationship since 2007, we've watched a lot of rom-coms.
Yeah.
So it's all coming back. Failure to Launch is garbage. And I don't think Sarah Jessica Parker's a very good actress.
Don't like her either. I don't like her, and I know that might be unpopular, but apparently in this room it's not, and I feel seen.
Thank you, EG, for sharing your truth with us here. A very tough thing to say and agreeing with what I put, my opinion out with first.
I was
Uh,
gonna say it.
You were going to get around to
Hunter recommends Ghosts of Girlfriends Past with Matthew McConaughey.
Never heard of
There's
that.
too many of these with Matthew McConaughey, which was the problem. And then he reinvented himself with Dallas Buyers Club. Anyway, last night I watched Get Shorty out of my DVD box. I'd never seen Get Shorty. John Travolta, Danny DeVito, Gene Hackman. Who else is in Get Shorty that I cannot remember right off the top of my head for some reason?
I don't know. I'm just laughing at Smuff's comment. He says Sarah Jessica Parker's on TV and she looks like a foot. That's a great reference.
There you go. James Gandolfini is in Get Shorty as well, 1995. It's Pulp Fiction light. It's diet Pulp Fiction is what it is.
Oh,
And if I'm in the mood for that, I'm more likely to watch Pulp Fiction. But Get Shorty, I think you had to be there in the moment to really
Appreciate it.
appreciate it. And I don't think it's aged tremendously well. It's got a great cast, but for me, it was like a 2 out of 5.
Real quick. When Lance today on the next round was talking about that Leprechaun movie,
Hmm.
guess who's seen it? Me.
You've seen Leprechaun in the Hood?
Yes. Yeah.
See, I always call that movie Spud Took a Wrong Turn. That's what I call it. But
Roll them up.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I haven't thought about that. It's like a fever dream, and I haven't thought about it until I saw it up there. My best friend, Kylie, she loves scary movies, and I've known her since middle school. Naturally,
That has to be tough in y'all's relationship because you hate scary movies.
hate them. So one evening, I guess we were probably in 8th grade, maybe, I don't know, freshman year. She was like, "I wanna watch a scary movie." I was like, "No, I'm not watching a scary movie. I'll go home." I had no way to get home, but threatened it. Well, let's find a funny scary movie. Funny scary movie.
That fits the
When you
bill.
type that, what comes up? Leprechaun in the Hood. So I have seen it. It did not scare me, and
Did it make you laugh?
uh, I I think it was, like, kind of a meme for us for a while, like, we kinda joked about it. But that was a good, golly, 10 years ago.
Did the Leprechaun ever go to space? Leprechaun in Space.
I don't know.
I don't
Let's
know.
find out.
When
Yeah,
Jason went to space.
Jason went to space. Whenever franchises of any sort run out of ideas, they always go to space.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
And I don't know if Leprechaun ever went to space.
I don't know, I remember the soundtrack, there's a lot of, like, songs that I remember being familiar with.
Yeah.
So after all right. So you got Leprechaun, Leprechaun 2, Leprechaun 3, Leprechaun 4, In Space,
Mm.
Leprechaun in the Hood, and then
Mm.
Leprechaun Back to the Hood, Leprechaun Origins, Leprechaun Returns, and then we've got an untitled Leprechaun film currently to be announced.
I hope I get a Leprechaun film,
Wait,
which
sorry, they're coming out with another one?
That is what it says.
wait, what?
I don't know what it will be.
Well, after hearing the 11 he counted off, why does it shock you they're making another one?
I didn't realize that was still in production. I thought that case
No.
closed a while ago.
No. I just is Warwick Davis returning to the iconic role of the Leprechaun, or is it being passed off to somebody else? That's what I want to know. Or are they going with like a CG Leprechaun? And I hope they don't.
Aw.
Hang on, we've got this is a great quote in this Wikipedia article. Uh, the or franchise creator Mark Jones talking to Den of Geek says Warwick and I have talked on off and on about it making a new one. He likes the idea of a leprechaun in the Wild West. I think they should do a TV series where the leprechaun travels the country looking for his gold.
Oh,
So there you go.
alright.
Well, you know, has Leprechaun jumped the shark? I think so. Many, many moons ago. In the original Leprechaun had Jennifer Aniston in that movie.
That's what you said on the next round, right?
I did not say that on the next round, but I thought it.
Did you type it potentially?
I did not.
Oh, okay, well, somehow I knew that, and I thought that was interesting. I don't really remember that, but I have a vague memory of seeing a cameo of her in that.
I think we've talked about Leprechaun 5 minutes more than we
I
probably
think so
should,
too.
but it is a series that exists in the horror universe. I'm getting all around my horrible trend of watching movies that I don't necessarily love and pulling movies out of DVD boxes that I don't necessarily love to tell you this story. And that is that I went on a trailer binge
Hmm,
over the past hour. Tyler's had to sit here and listen to me groan, and then Tyler has shared some groans
okay.
overhearing some of the trailers. I'm going to tell you about the 5 trailers that I've seen over the past hour, and only one of them I like. But here we go. The Alto Knights. This is a movie with Robert De Niro playing what appears to be, are they brothers? I don't know,
So
twins?
I think it's a story of the Genovese family. Let me pull up a synopsis real quick. Yes, gangster Vito Genovese goes to war with prime boss, ugh, prime boss Frank Costello in the 1950s. So it's about the war
Gotcha.
between the families.
I am tired of Robert De Niro old man gangster movies. I'm tired of them. People, if they want to watch Robert De Niro gangster movies at their peak, there's a lot to choose from. You
Yeah,
can go a whole different array of whatever floats your boat. You want to go casino? Go for it. Goodfellas? Yeah, sounds great. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you want to go Godfather Part 2. I'm okay with that. Whatever.
Irishman.
No.
Okay.
Irishman falls into Old Man De Niro. I'm tired of Old Man De Niro gangster
Is
films.
he in The Gentleman?
You bring up this movie often, and I can't tell
What
you.
movie?
The
Isn't The
Gentleman.
Gentleman?
I
The
don't know.
With
Gentleman.
Matthew McConaughey. There's a weird tie.
I don't know.
I
I
think he
hope that's in
is.
a DVD mystery box for me here soon so I can watch it so that way I can be more aware of that property. But I'm tired of old man De Niro gangster movies, really old man De Niro movies in general, minus Joker. 2019, I thought that he was great there as Murray Franklin, but
I'm not seeing
I
I'm
don't think
not
he
seeing
is.
him in the cast. He
I don't
might
think
have
he is.
gotten I don't know. Let's see. I just had the name.
anyhow,
Oh,
Anyways.
yeah. Here's what I
Hugh Grant. You might have
Oh,
gotten
there we go.
Hugh Grant
yeah.
confused with Robert De Niro.
Happens often. Alto Nights looks awful, and I don't want to see it. Moving on to this. Heart Eyes slasher movie coming out the week before Valentine's Day. Ugh. Um, I believe Anaconda with Jack Black and Paul Rudd comes out around Christmas, but Hard Eyes comes out around Valentine's Day, and the teaser trailer has shown a gruesome kill on screen.
Oh, gross.
Correct, EG, and it is gross. But the full length trailer looks like really weak. It looks almost like more My Bloody Valentine,
Mhm.
and I'm not signing off that this is going to be a good horror movie. I think it's a cash grab from what I can tell. Hey, let's put out a holiday themed horror movie around a holiday. A lot of couples, they go to the theater, they'll go buy tickets to this, we'll make money.
It's the Thanksgiving one worked. So
Mm,
why don't we try it with a holiday people actually, go out and do stuff for?
yeah, and to Tyler's point, he's bringing up the holiday centric tie-ins. That Thanksgiving movie was actually pretty good. And most of the time, when they're associated with a holiday, they don't turn out that great. Thanksgiving was pretty good. This Hard Eyes movie looks really bad, but it lets you know in the trailer constantly, hey, it's Valentine's Day season. It's Valentine's Day season. Um, EG,
Yes.
you would say you've been in a long-term relationship. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Would you say that that provides more or less pressure for like Valentine's Day planning activities? Because Valentine's Day, fellas, listen up, falls on a Friday this year.
Ooh, Valentine's Day weekend. That's not a day, that's a weekend.
Okay, sorry. I see right now the answer that I was looking for, that it does have certain levels of expectations because it's not, you're saying, just a
It's
night out. It's an entire weekend of
mm,
celebration of a relationship.
yeah. I love the smaller holidays. So 4th of July, probably my number one favorite holiday. I love Easter. I love Valentine's Day. But I feel like I like them because there aren't any expectations.
Let me just real quick. You say you like the smaller holidays.
Easter is obviously the greatest holiday of all time, but I'm saying corporate holiday.
Oh, you're basically saying everything except for Christmas, basically, right?
Yeah. Like
Okay,
I feel like I love Christmas, but there's a lot of expectations that come along with
I
gifting
gotcha.
and things like that. But I love Easter for a lot of reasons, but when it comes to Valentine's Day, for me, my dad would get me and my mom roses every year from Whole Foods and, like, chocolate, and then my brother started doing it too. And that was, like, really it, but it was, like, perfect. And then my grandma would do, like, a little, candy bag, etcetera. When it comes to relationship, I feel like now, even really back in the day when we first started dating, like, I just like quality time. So, like, I wanna be with you that day, if possible. If it's, like, a random Tuesday and, like, can't happen, that's okay.
Right.
But flowers and, like, a fun day planned, more than enough for me.
Okay. I do feel like there's going to be a lot of reservations that are booked up.
For sure.
And if you're a last minute person, you're gonna be out of luck on Valentine's evening.
Yes. Can I actually give our listeners a really good gift idea for Valentine's Day?
I was hoping you would in a future episode where I'm
Oh,
gonna have you lay out the 5 ways to win Valentine's Day with your significant other as we get a little bit closer.
I'll save it.
Thank you.
I'll save
That's what
it.
I'm looking for. Just pocket that one
I'm
away.
tucking it away.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Until Dawn, the official trailer for that came out, and, oh, I don't think it looks good. Now, Tyler, this was also in our DVD mystery box. A copy of Until Dawn came out. The mystery box. I gave it to you. I haven't played it, but the trailer for the adaptation of that video game into a movie does not look very good to me. It looks pretty low
No.
rent.
No,
Talk to me.
this makes me very sad because with the original Until Dawn game, you already had a very, very good story. And unlike a lot of games, Until Dawn is very cinematic. It focuses on the decisions you make instead of like survival gameplay or shooter based gameplay. It's decision based. So it already had a lot of cinematics in it, and you already had a star-studded cast with the game. You had Peter Stormare, Rami Malek, Hayden Panettiere,
Hmm.
y- and they just decided we'll keep Peter Stormare, but we'll put him in a different role, and
Mm,
we'll make a movie that has nothing to do with the game that everyone likes.
yeah. It does not look good to me as someone who doesn't know a lot about the IP, but loves movies, especially horror movies. Don't like that one very much at all. Uh,
I'd recommend you go on YouTube and watch some gameplay of Until Dawn. I think you'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I would. I'm sure I would love a playthrough of that. I'm gonna get to the fourth trailer that I think sucks. It's a movie called Dark Match.
Dark Match?
Dark Match. What do you think that's about?
That's what I was gonna say. I thought that your first movie, The Alto Knights, was like a choir, like, showdown. I think Dark Match is, I mean, some sort of dark, scary
Match.
I don't even know.
Okay. Well, you were close.
It sounds like it could be like related to the Dark Stalkers game.
Right.
You remember Dark
Dark
Stalkers?
Match.
Was that a PC game? What I don't know. What is
It wa-
Dark Stalkers?
it was a like a Capcom like arcade game that like made its way to some consoles. You had like the vampire girl and it was like horror based.
Okay, no. I'm
Bad
not.
Tinder date. Bad online dating match.
No. Let me tell you what it is. It's a wrestling horror movie where people are killing each other inside the wrestling ring.
That sounds like my worst nightmare, actually. I hate that. I physical violence like that, like in a ring, and it's just like brutal and ruthless, like the gladiator and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't handle that. There, sorry, not to go off on a tangent, but I am in a neighborhood in Statesboro near Georgia Southern, Burkhalter. They started a boxing little league, and kids were getting their butts beat to a pulp in some kid's backyard. And I'm like, that's how people die.
Whenever you get to moving and the words are coming out just a little bit slower, but your movements are going fast,
Yeah.
I know that you're fired up.
Yeah, like, I hate it, and it's, of course, on videos, like, going viral and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, that is so scary to me.
Well, this is a horror movie where Chris Jericho, who is a professional wrestler, sort of plays the role of the grand master of this tournament that's happening in like an underground
Fight Club?
wrestling den with a
Mm-mm.
ring that's set up, and people are basically fighting to the death in this wrestling
Is there
ring.
money involved?
I'm sure there is. It wasn't obvious, but I'm sure there is some sort of prize there. And but they're like using weapons, like firearms as
Oh,
well in the
no.
wrestling ring. I don't like this at all. This dark match
Ugh.
thing. And if you're a Terrifier fan, which I have become more and more of a Terrifier fan as the series progresses, maybe that's who they're trying to target, those over the top violence gorehounds. But I love wrestling. I love horror movies. I don't love this concept together. Don't think it looks great.
What is the storyline gonna be, I wonder? Is it like the Grand Master dude, how he got wrapped up in it, or is it gonna be just
Looks like there's a young, aspiring female wrestler who's looking to break into the business
Oh,
and feels like this is her
Lord.
ticket to the top. That's what it looks like to me.
So basically kind of like Bloodsport, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd prefer Dark Stalkers. I'm putting up a picture of that now. You got the vampire girl in the middle. That's Morgan. She was my main. Then the wolf guy over to the left. That's
Wolf
John.
guy.
That's John Talbane. And then Felicia, the cat girl. It's a lot of fun if you like
Okay.
the classic sort of fighting game arcade feel.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at this a little bit more closely here, Tyler. And it looks vaguely familiar, but It's not
It's one
clicking
where
with me.
if you've played any of, like, the Marvel versus Capcom games,
Yeah.
you might recognize a couple of characters in this game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, um, I'm sure that's a better experience than Dark Match for sure, and one that EG is more likely to participate in.
Yeah, seriously. When does that come out, Dark Match, so I can avoid it at all costs?
So it looks like it's going to be potentially a Shutter exclusive, meaning that it may land right there on their streaming service. But I don't have an official date on Dark Match. It's not used as a promotional tool, just 2025 at some point. Oh, no, it actually says stream now on Shutter. So it's a straight to release, and they were using that trailer to promote that it's already out. So it's on Shutter, which
Hmm.
is a horror movie subscription service,
Oh,
which is what I was gonna get you for Christmas, but I figured you wouldn't use it very often.
darn.
I'm gonna get to another horror movie. This is one that I think actually does have a pretty good trailer, and it's The Monkey. They officially released a Red Band trailer today, and Neon is putting this out. This is the latest from Osgood Perkins, son of Anthony Perkins of Psycho fame, and he did Long Legs last year, and it took off like a rocket. It was a huge box office success. And can he replicate that success with a movie like The Monkey, which looks a little less like a Silence of the Lambs and a little bit more like a Final Destination? And I think that's gonna. I don't think The Monkey will be as successful as Long Legs by any means,
I agree.
and
I
it doesn't
agree.
have the star power that Long Legs has.
That's true. You don't have a Nick Cage or a is it Micah or Malka Monroe? Whatever. The girl from It Follows. She's not like a massive star or anything, but horror movie fans immediately knew
Mhm.
who that was.
But
And then with the monkey, you got Theo James.
it's based on the Stephen King short story,
Yes.
and this trailer's really good. I think the trailer is fantastic. It's a flavor of horror that some people are not going to be as conditioned to go see, but it looks brutal. It looks darkly funny at times
Mhm.
and vicious, cold, but also with a little bit of tongue in cheek humor aimed towards the audience, maybe going on a thrill ride here. E.g., this is something you'll never understand why horror fans maybe line up to watch this stuff.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that as you were
Yeah,
talking.
I could feel it off of you.
It's interesting. Everyone has their own tastes. No judgment from my end, but it is interesting. I was thinking if I watched those trailers, 3 of them horror movies, I wouldn't sleep for the next 2 weeks.
I hope you take this the right way. I'm scared to say it. There are people who go see horror movies,
Yep,
me and Tyler,
yep.
and then there's people who die in horror movies, and that would be you.
Yeah, for sure. That no.
Like you're the main target
Yeah,
of
that might be the most accurate thing
yeah,
that's ever been said on the
yeah.
show.
You're like the archetype for you're at the sorority house and there's a knock at the window and everyone's screaming at the screen whether or not you should try to reach for the weapon, don't open the door, call the cops, go upstairs, go downstairs, they're trying to give you commands of how to survive, but
Yeah.
it's
I
probably why you don't want to watch the horror movies.
no, I just don't like being scared, and that's what's interesting. I guess you guys don't feel scared watching those movies, right? How does that work? Do you get scared?
Scared is a interesting term because it's got layers. Uncomfortable is something that I felt a lot in 2024.
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Like I'm a horror movie fan. I've seen a bunch of stuff and wow, haven't seen anything like that. Like The Substance was uncomfortable at times. I mean, really uncomfortable at
Okay.
times. Terrifier 3 at times was uncomfortable, but in a you're kind of in on the joke sort of way. Like Brian Pavlik was laughing throughout Terrifier 3 from what I
Yes.
remember. Tyler telling me. What was another uncomfortable horror movie that was just like, ooh, that went some places? Um, I don't know right off the top of my head. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but
But you don't have a fear factor involved.
it's not really a fear. It's more like a will this movie properly or improperly disgust me when I watch it?
And that I think is where I can't wrap my mind around paying to
Yeah,
go be disgusted. And that's not in a mean way by any means.
right.
But it's interesting. I think it's unique.
There are
See, I kinda like the paranoid feeling a little
Oh,
bit
that
where you're
is
just like, "Oh." better. I hope nobody's like hiding in the backseat of my car, sort of deal. Like you're just like on edge. You get a little rush.
I'm with you. The
I
more
hate
suspense,
Yeah.
that.
the suspense, thrill, and evil lurking around the corner. You just don't know where it's at.
Yep.
Yeah, that is literally what I try to avoid at all
That's
costs.
Halloween 1978 for you. That's exactly what Halloween 1978 is.
Like anything, no, nope, nope, nope. I don't like anything jumping out at me. I like
Right.
being in control of the situation.
I don't like jump scares either. I like I like the movies that build up this just sort of feeling of dread and darkness, and you're just like, oh no, something bad is about to happen. There's nothing I can do, and they don't have to have anything pop out.
I hate that feeling in rom-coms, okay? I don't like that feeling in rom-coms where it's like, "Oh, no, they're gonna break up or something's gonna happen," or, oh, no, when is the shoe gonna drop?" in rom-coms.
Yeah, I mean, people know whether they're into horror movies or not. Pretty
Yes.
much at a young age, you can
Yeah.
start to tell whether or not it's going to be your thing. And I think from the get, you've known it's not your thing.
Yeah, but and what's interesting is from the get, y'all have known, so that's interesting.
hmm I did a whole presentation. Tyler was scarred early.
Yeah, so like before that happened, so I would go to the library all the time, and at my school library, they had all these monster books. It was just like histories of like different monster movies and stuff. I was obsessed, and I would be watching all the old monster movies and stuff like that. And then, when I was 8 or 9 years old, my dad shows me Saw, and it was a pretty big jump
Yeah, that's a big jump.
from like Godzilla,
Yeah.
or Wolfman, even
Frankenstein?
American Werewolf in London, going to Saw.
I got to go with a deeper question here. Do you hold him responsible in a positively or negatively way, in a positive or negative way, looking back at that being a watershed moment in your life where it's very memorable, but I still think 8 or 9 is a little bit too young for Saul?
I mean, he didn't say I had to watch it. He was just like watching it, and he was like, "It's really good. You can watch it if you want." And
The
uh,
story I remember is him telling you, this could happen in real
yeah,
life.
well, that was at the end of the movie.
Okay. I'm not trying to turn you against your
No,
father. I'm
it's
just asking,
I
like,
don't hold it took a long time for me to get back into horror after that,
got it.
and I think after that I maybe went good 3 years where I wasn't even like watching the horror movie trailers on TV. I'd be like, nope, nope, back to SpongeBob. And
Wow.
then one
Interesting.
weekend AMC did their the channel, not the theater, did their 31 days of Halloween or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And they were playing all the old Friday the 13th movies, and I watched those. And I was just like, oh, these aren't bad. And I just sort of got back into it through there.
See, the key to the horror genre, especially at a young age, is your imagination is the biggest weapon against you. It's
Yeah,
not what you
see,
see on the screen.
at the end of Saw, I'm thinking it's like, great, I'm gonna be on my way to soccer practice one day. Somebody in a pig mask is gonna grab me, and then I'm gonna have to solve some crazy puzzle and risk life and limb to get out of there.
Right. And now we just call it your time at Disrupt Media. So congratulations. There was you're solving puzzles every day against the clock. And the person in the pig mask, Jim Dunaway. He's the one that actually put you in the back of the van. So
Yeah.
welcome into this torture chamber. No, it's a fun time. I knew early on that I was very intrigued by all of this because it's very much a what would you do in this situation?
Mhm.
Like the best horror movies are always like sort of a what would you do
Mhm.
to try to navigate your way out of this? Now, Jaws was, I watched it at 5, and it was like a big moment for me where I was like, oh my gosh, I was
So
terrified.
not a beach person.
Yeah, see, I hadn't even seen Jaws yet, and I saw Saw.
Yeah, that's a big jump. No, I had T-ball tryouts the next day. I've told this story before. I had T-ball tryouts the next day, and I refused to run the bases because the infield looked like the beach.
Oh, no.
And I was like, not doing it. I've seen that shark, and it pops out on the infield. And my mom was not happy. She was very unhappy that she had paid a registration fee, and I had decided not to actually try out for T-ball. So my baseball career ended due to the movie Jaws. But at the age of 8, 7 or 8, I went to my mom with a presentation of like, look, I can handle these horror movies. I need to watch them to try to figure out how they do the things that they do on screen, how they sort of like create
Scariness?
the scariness.
Mhm.
And um, I've always been obsessed with human reaction to things, and horror movies, nothing gets a bigger reaction than horror movies. I mean, it's been the one genre throughout my life that has never really dipped.
Yeah.
There's always been something in the horror community that's kept people engaged. It changes, right? Early 2000s, like The Ring was like, oh my gosh, this has got, this is the future
The
of horror.
Grudge.
The Grudge,
Yeah,
all
the
these
TV
movies.
one where it's like
Every
whoever's
Japanese
watching it
horror movie that
next.
got remade.
And then you had the Saw and the Hostel and the torture porn sort of phase,
Yep.
and I was a young teenager growing up in that phase being like, oh my gosh, people were obsessed with it. And then that did its due there. And then zombies became this huge thing again, which they already had their time. They came back, and Walking Dead and all these zombie movies and books. And right now, currently, I mean, there's really kind of an appetite for vampires again.
Again?
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
Really?
We got Nosferatu, right? We've got a
Right.
movie coming out called Sinners with Michael B. Jordan and Ryan
I like
Coogler teaming up
Michael.
again. Well, maybe you can go see this one.
Yeah.
It looks like a vampire movie. That's what it's purported to be. We haven't gotten that officially, but vampire movies, vampires, classic monster movies. You're going to see The Wolfman tonight, Tyler. I'm going to see it this weekend. I hope it's good. But there's always been an appetite for horror, and right now you have so much supply out there that some of it just sucks and some of it's really good. So I'm hoping 2025 delivers on the horror movie front. And it was a long winded way to get around to saying that I haven't watched a lot of good things lately when it comes to either trailers or films. And I'm hoping The Wolfman delivers. Tonight, you'll have your out of the theater reaction for all the Meltdonians.
Yes, I'm planning on seeing it tonight. It's a late showtime. I might I might have to push it back, but we'll see. I'll try to make it through. Um, you if you wanted to see a good horror movie, Tim,
Yeah.
should have joined me on Monday. Go see Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Oh, well, once again, I
Where
wouldn't,
did you think I was going with that?
well, I wouldn't classify it solely as a horror movie, but it does fall into that suspense element genre where it has some DNA that it shares with Saw. But I actually thought you were going to talk more about your Seven experience last night
Oh, yeah, I'd love to.
because that's one of your favorite movies of all time.
It is.
Directed by David Fincher. We went through his filmography on
Mhm.
an episode about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And you adore this movie. It's in your letterbox top four. There was a 4K remaster that you finally got a chance to see. It came to the Patton Creek area here in the central Alabama area. And you said it delivered on all fronts.
Oh, yes. The only thing that it was missing was comfy
A
chairs.
better
Oh,
theater, yeah.
wow.
Yes.
So the 4K remaster, like
Mhm.
you could really feel the impact of that updated, fresh look, new coat of paint on a vehicle that you love to look at.
Absolutely. Everything looked very crisp and clear. Still had that sort of Fincher stylization on it, that grimy look. But yeah, definitely good 4K remaster. And I was looking for like little bits of AI artifacting. Like I was ready to call Fincher out on any mistakes that were made. Didn't see any.
Things had to be cleaned up because the original film got
Hmm.
damaged or lost, damaged.
Yeah, the original prints are lost and damaged.
And so this was there was a lot of hype surrounding this 4K re-release in theaters, and then later, now it's on, physical media. You can buy a copy of this. But for those that maybe can't make it out to a theater to see it, you would recommend, if they love the movie, to buy the physical version of it and check out the 4K re-release.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not just a let's take the original movie and then throw it in an upscaling app or something, and now we got a 4K remaster. No, no. Fincher painstakingly went through this movie to make sure that everything was looking the best it possibly can while also being in accordance with his original vision for the film.
Well,
And it's just absolutely fantastic film.
well, I'm glad you got to experience. How was the attendance? Was it?
It was pretty light, but there's been screenings going on
Yeah,
since late last week,
yeah.
at least in this area. So I
I
didn't
mean,
expect it to be full,
yeah,
but
I didn't either. Wednesday night,
good
checking out a movie that's
10 people there.
no, that's not bad. That's not
It's, more than there were for Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, more than there were for, that horror movie, The Damned.
Mhm.
So,
So once again, people love that comfort food of knowing what they're going to get, the experience they're going to get. That kind of leads us into exactly what our meltdown countdown is today, which, by the way, if you love chomping down on comfort food, there's a group that you need to go to make sure that you can chomp down with the mightiest of bites, and that is the team at Alabama Dental Associates. Tyler went to go see Seven last night. We're going to give you 7 numbers you need to know. That's 956-8977. Yes, 956-8977. That's going to help you reach the team at Alabama Dental Associates so they can reach your teeth, because that's what they do best. They make sure that you're not only helped out during times of crisis where you may have a toothache that just will not go away and can be debilitating. They also make sure you're on that regular cleaning and checkup schedule so that way you can take care of all of your dental health the right way. Maybe you're new in town, need to make sure you have a dentist on standby. Reach out, try Alabama Dental Associates for yourself as they're accepting new patients now. 205-956-8977 or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan there over on Grants Mill Road at Alabama Dental Associates. I have an appointment for February that I am amped up for and excited for, and hopefully it's better than some of my most recent movie viewings. Okay, here is the list that I have given to young Tyler, and I hope that it makes sense for everybody. I think it will. Here is the prompt. After having seen Seven last night, a movie you adore, would you name the 7 movies you'd like to see re-released theatrically in its most premium format? So these can be 4K remasters. These can be things maybe that you want to see in IMAX or Prime. Number 7 must be a movie from the 1960s.
Ooh,
Number 6 must be a movie from the
70s.
70s, and then we go on down the list. 5, the 80s and 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and even 2020s. Will Top Gun Maverick make this list? We will have to see. I told Tyler very specifically, though, he cannot pick The Goonies, which is getting a re-release, Kill Bill 1 or 2, The Departed, any of the Shrek films,
Nice.
any anime,
Nice.
or anything currently in theaters right now.
Seems fair.
So we're going to see what he comes up with. Tyler feels like he's been handicapped already, but I took away some of his
Killing
favorite
it.
movies because you talk about those movies often. We know your affinity for them, and I want to hear maybe some other gems that make up your cinephile DNA.
All right, you put me through the ringer today. I looked at my phone this morning and I said, well, "That's a big meltdown countdown." So I got right to work. Starting off a movie from the 1960s. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of cheating right off the bat, because this isn't just one movie. This is a marathon I'd
Oh.
like to have in the theaters. There's a popular sitcom out there. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. The Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I hate this show.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
The only thing good that they ever did in this show, in my opinion, was make me want to go to a Planet of the Apes marathon where you get to sit through all of the original movies. I'm a massive fan of Planet of the Apes. I used to watch all the old ones with my dad, even the Mark Wahlberg one. And then when they started their remake, reboot franchise with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, me and my dad were right there watching that movie. And this is just a film series that I've never gotten to experience on the big screen, with the exception of the modern versions. So I'd like to see Dr. Zaius and Baby Milo on the big screen for the first time.
Well, there's one sheriff here in Meldonia,
Duh.
and I love the Planet of the Apes series as well.
Mm.
The last one was okay, wasn't earth-shattering, but it did a lot to get the Planet of the Apes series back on track, and I'm hoping the next one really delivers. But I feel like, Tyler, I'm gonna have to lay down the law here, and you only get to see the original. You only get to see the original because it's the only one from the actual 60s.
Yeah, the first one was 68, and then everything else was after that.
But that's not really that bad of a punishment because the original still holds up
The original's
very
still the
well.
best one out of all of
Still
them,
the best one.
but
So
it doesn't get as wacky. as some of the later ones.
But yeah, you don't get to see James Franco and John Lithgow and then say that's my '60s movie. You don't get to do that.
No, no,
Okay.
I only meant the original series, like Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, don't forget about Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which is,
I did forget about Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
I believe that's the one with the school buses that they had to use to try to make it look like it was part of the military. That budget had been
That sounds
slashed.
right. It sounds right. They got
Yeah.
real shoestring budgets there towards the end.
I really like Planet of the Apes. I actually like Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Escape from the Planet of the Apes, it gets better. Things get back on track there. Conquest is good. Battle is not very good. Okay, let's now move on to number 6. Must be a 1970s movie.
There were plenty of movies to choose from. Could have gone with Godfather. Could have gone Taxi Driver. Represent my love for Scorsese films. But what I did was I went back and I said, what horror movies could I experience?
EG's like, get
So
me out of here.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, EG.
No, no, I'm
This is
intrigued.
one I think you actually could watch though,
Okay.
and that is
Frankenstein.
because it is an absolute blockbuster. Actually, started the concept of the summer blockbuster. Timmy's right. It's Jaws.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
love to see this in the theater because it's something I've only gotten to watch from the comfort of my home, from my couch on a TV. I've never been in a dark theater while that music plays out of the top of the line speakers. And also, I think it would be a good time to note everything I'm listening is assuming a prime showtime.
Sure.
Not even messing with IMAX just because I want the good chairs. But this is a movie I would love to see in the theaters because I've never gotten to experience like what that kind of true blockbuster is in the theaters.
Jaws is in my letterbox top 4. I've told my personal story, seeing it at 5 years old. I was I watched the movie on my sister's bed, which was very high up off the ground
Oh,
as well.
no.
And so it was very much there was like a you felt like you were on a boat watching it, which as a 5-year-old, I mean, it's really intense. I mean, I was just up there like looking over the side expecting to see the shark swimming. Swimming pools, bathtubs. It was a rough summer. But I saw Jaws in the theater a couple years ago, and let me tell you,
It
it's
Delivered.
great.
delivers.
Oh, it's so good. You're gonna get a chance to see Jaws in the theater at some point. Do it. The Richard Dreyfuss jump scare at the bottom, when he's searching around and the
That's
head
one of
pops
the
out of the front,
best jump scares ever done in a horror movie, in my opinion.
the crowd jumped like it was, in the '70s. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome," that, like, people weren't ready for it again.
Yeah.
It still holds up. Best jump scare maybe in cinema, and I highly recommend, Tyler, you go to the theater and watch Jaws when you're given the chance, because it will be re-released over and over and over again in the theater. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Great list so far. I mean, batting 1,000, perfect A plus plus list so far. Let's move on to number 5, which must be a movie from the 1980s.
Gotta be from the 80s. So I cheated again. I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't pick. I couldn't choose. So we got different strokes for different folks. So if you're a horror movie fan, you can go with The Shining. And if you are not a horror movie fan and you just want more of a crime thriller, 1983 Scarface on the list as well. These are both classic movies in my opinion, movies I rewatch all the time. I think The Shining truly is a masterpiece of modern horror as the tagline says. Fantastic performances from everyone involved. And then Scarface, it's just a good popcorn movie that we don't really get in the theaters anymore. Now any sort of crime thriller movie just becomes a limited series or a documentary.
I won't get I'm not going to be too tough on you with your whole I'm going to pick 2 movies and try to get away with it thing. But what I will tell you is one of these movies is by far and away superior to the other.
I know you probably lean Shining
Oh
more
yeah.
than Scarface.
Oh yeah. It's not even close. Um, Stephen King hated the Shining movie, by the way.
Well, in his defense, The Shining movie and The Shining book are nothing alike.
That is completely accurate, but I'll take the movie any day over the book.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't feel like it's that tough of a coin flip there. I feel like it's very much like go see The Shining. in the theater if you can. Scarface, I feel like would get a little repetitive watching it on the big screen compared to The Shining, which the whole thing about The Shining is the atmosphere of the setting of the
Mhm.
movie, and to experience that in that large format would be fantastic. But still, you're not going to get a lot of complaints other than the fact that you're trying to cheat the system as much as possible, which is why I sent you a 17-page text saying, hey, let's stay within the parameters. And so far, you technically have, but now I'm going to have to start going EG specific, which is I got to come up with all the ways you can possibly cheat and
Yeah,
write that in the rules
okay,
too.
it's not cheating, it's just getting your way.
That may be okay. That's the scariest thing you've ever said here on the show.
That might be the most telling thing you've ever said, too.
Yeah. You would survive the horror movie, by the way, that you're in. I didn't make that clear. You would end up outsmarting the killer and being the final girl, and people would cheer you on. But
Thank you.
you're welcome. Let's move
Stop.
on. Number 4. No, gosh, EG would end up being the killer in the movie. Why did I not think about that? Okay. Number 4, you got to pick something from the 1990s, Tyler. You've made a great case for why 7 is fantastic to see in the theater. It's not eligible here for this list because that's what has inspired the list. What are you going with for your 1990s movie?
I really wish that had been in the text because I picked 7 because, this wasn't a Prime re-release. I wanted the full premium experience.
Oh, no. Okay. What
After having seen your beloved 7 last night, name the 7 movies you'd like to see re released theatrically in its most premium format. And you picked 7 again? You're such a cheater at this.
Yeah, um,
Okay.
you're not gonna be happy with my alternate selection either.
well, let's hear it.
Um, so, another rule that you gave me was,
Don't pick anime, and you did anyway.
uh, you know,
What do you
Neon, the end of Evangelion, it's one of my
Uh,
favorite movies ever. I'm going to talk about it if I can find an excuse to talk about it.
But you've
But
been barred from talking about it. The Meltdown Countdown only works if you play within the parameters of the game itself, Tyler. And you are, I mean, I'm gonna have to write a demerit for you. I'm gonna make a note. This is going in Jim's top left drawer.
I'll never work in this town again.
Okay. Look, you haven't you seen both of these movies recently re-released?
So the Evangelion, when it got re-released, it was just in like the smallest screen
Yeah,
at Patton Creek. So like,
right.
did it really even get a theatrical re-release?
Gotcha.
Not really.
So when I just want to work this out, when you saw me with my rules of you can't pick any anime, you said, "Oh, I'm not doing that."
I said, oh, I was going through '90s movies, and I was going down the list, and I'm like, well, 7, like I just needed a recliner, but
Hmm.
I'll talk about it. I'll have it as like a second selection. And I'm going through a list of '90s movies, and I'm like, do I go Pulp Fiction? I go, nah, nah, I'm good. Do I go Good Will Hunting? Great movie.
Yeah, both of those would have been great conversations.
And then I thought, no, I want this to be like movies that I feel like are enhanced by the theatrical experience. I don't
Gotcha.
feel like Good Will Hunting is enhanced by seeing it in a theater
That's fair.
because it's just personal drama.
Okay.
It's not to knock the movie
Do you break the rules anymore in the final 3 choices?
though. No, I offer 2 different choices,
Okay. Okay.
but no rule breaking.
Let's move on to number 3 then, which must be a movie from the 2000s.
2000s. Oh, had the wrong one. So this one, it's technically multiple movies because it's a whole trilogy. It's Lord of the Rings. When you think early 2000s, for me, I think big, epic being the word. Productions, whether it's set design, um, the level of world building, and just how far they try to push the envelope. And I think Lord of the Rings does that very well. And I think it still holds up 20 years later. And I would love to see a re-release of the extended editions in Prime.
I got a Return of the King DVD that was sealed
yes,
in
you
the
did.
latest mystery box. Check out that video if you haven't already. But now I'm 2 movies away from having the whole trilogy there. But do you like the Hobbit movies at all?
Not really.
Yeah. It's kind of like in the Harry Potter universe.
Oh yeah, you got Harry Potter, and then you got Fantastic Beasts,
Yeah,
which
I've
I
never
actually kind of liked the first one in that series. Second one was garbage.
Yeah.
I've never seen those.
The recasting as well with it had Johnny Depp and then it ended
Yeah,
up becoming Mads Mikkelsen
I
or
that
Jude Law. What?
No.
it.
No,
No, I think it's Mads
was it
Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen?
Jude Law played a young
Oh
Dumbledore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly correct. I'm not a
Yeah,
Harry Potter guy, so
Johnny Depp was a Derlert Grindelwald or Gilbert Grindelwald.
Gellert.
Gellert. Thank you, EG.
Welcome.
EG's like, there's one thing I know.
That is Harry
It's
Potter.
Harry Potter. All right, move on to this. Number 2 must be a 2010s movie. What movie do you want to see re-released in theaters, Tyler?
So I've got two again for this one, and it's because one I have seen and I think would be fantastic to re-release theatrically, and the other I haven't seen. It did get a theatrical re-release recently, and I just missed out on it. And those two movies are Inception and Interstellar.
Hmm.
I just think that the cinematography that Nolan uses throughout all his films just really lends itself to the theatrical experience, and that's why I think both of these movies would still work today in the theaters. Never have seen Interstellar, and have yet to hear a bad thing about it, but just have never gotten around to it.
You missed your opportunity because it was there.
Hmm.
I know Hunter Bussey went to go see Interstellar, and he was very moved by the presentation.
Hmm.
It is a very touching film. Inception is the one out of these two that I prefer more, but both Nolan films that continue to cement him as the greatest working director currently. And anytime that he ends up releasing a movie, it is an event, and I cannot wait for his next one, which has an absolute all-star cast that is set to come out, I think, 2027?
It's either 2026 or 2027. That's the Odyssey adaptation, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's gonna be wild.
that's going to be a big one.
Especially considering, Nolan doesn't like CGI. We're gonna have real monsters on screen.
Oh.
I think so. Real monsters. Okay, let's move on to number one. Must be a 2020s movie. This is the one that I felt like could potentially be the biggest dud, just because this is going to be a movie that came out very recently.
We got oop, two movies again. One came out 2024. The other came out 2023. Both I would consider event movies, and that would be Dune Part 2 and Oppenheimer. I think both of these I always talk about how much Dune needs a re-release because seeing it in Prime is just such an experience, and I stand by that. And I didn't get to see Oppenheimer in Prime. I only saw it in regular digital and then IMAX, but I was missing out on that Prime sound system, and I would like to see it with that sound system.
Oppenheimer winning Best Picture most recently at this past year's Academy Awards. Will Dune Part 2 be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards? It should be. Does it actually have a chance to win? Doesn't feel like it. And I don't know why, because
What a sham.
Dune Part 2 is a movie that has to continue to fight to sort of earn its spot within the Hollywood elite. And I'm not entirely sure why, because it is very well put together. Narratively, it doesn't do much for me. I'm not a big fan of Dune. I'd much rather watch something that's more fun than Dune. However, I respect the craft of what Dune Part 2 is. So I'm kind of conflicted. Doesn't quite work for me and my appetite, but respect the hell out of it and think Denis Villeneuve is right up there with Nolan of the next thing that he announces. It becomes an event and he's right there breathing the same air. Those guys obviously feed off of each other's energy and they both support each other's work. So that's a really great finish here to this Meltdown Countdown, Tyler. And that would be a heck of a draining double feature to watch both of those movies for sure.
It would be, but I just realized it with that last choice. Denis Villeneuve's kind of Warner Brothers' new golden boy now that Nolan dumped him.
That's correct, but Denny could potentially dump them too very
He
soon.
could.
Especially if they can't get any traction with him in the award circles there. But you did follow at least one rule. There were no Shrek movies in this. So congratulations, Tyler.
Hey, I didn't put
Wonderful
the Goonies
job.
in there for 80s movies, even though I really wanted to.
You only broke half the rules. So, I mean, you get to live. That is the Saw trap that you've somehow managed to work your way out of. Congratulations. It is today's Meltdown countdown. Charles says, watched Interstellar when it was released in IMAX at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center.
that's
Incredible experience.
Oh, that's a great venue for that too.
I would reckon so. And people know enough about Interstellar now. They've seen Interstellar enough to know that Matt Damon pops up in there
Mhm.
and it's a huge reveal. And that is one thing that was not promoted and was a huge surprise. And you have to think that Nolan had to be telling them, like, look, you got to keep the fact that Matt Damon's not,
Yeah.
is in this movie out of the public. And they were able to do that somehow pretty well there. So a big reveal there and added more to the Interstellar lore, which we saw tickets being on the resale market. It created a whole discussion about reselling
Yep.
tickets to these premium events, going for upwards of $200+ for people trying to snag a seat in some of the bigger markets to go see this re-release. So a movie that is loved for sure. One place that you'll love, that's MyBookie at mybookie.ag. You can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Plenty of opportunities to cash out and win or let it ride there at MyBookie. They're in that live casino, or you can bet on any of the games that you watch on a nightly basis. Have a little skin in the game there with MyBookie. You can join the MyBookie family for daily odds boosts, same game parlays, and super contests. Make sure you use promo code NEXTROUND for that first time deposit bonus where you can bet on absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. All right, that's going to do it for us. We will have a lot of Wolfman content headed your way over the course of the next several days. And then Tyler and I will sit down and do a more thorough review of that movie early next week for all of you Meltdonians. EG, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it very much.
Of course. Thanks for some good combo.
Yes, Tyler. Lots of movies there to catch up on. For those that maybe haven't watched those, they need to go ahead and get in the game and start catching up and checking them off on their letterbox, because that's what I'm doing with this DVD box. I've decided I'm going to make the most out of this
Yeah.
and try to tackle some stuff that either I haven't seen in a long time, or go deeper into those bonus features of things that I know by heart. So I'm making the most of it. We'll have more mystery boxes here on the
I
channel,
like
think.
that. I hope so. I enjoy the mystery boxes.
I'm hoping less fitness DVDs, though.
Me too.
Yeah.
And less Alan picks.
That is correct.
I don't know. Alan had personality.
Alan
That's
did
what
have
we were
pers-
missing with the last mystery
I
box.
would agree with that statement.
Yeah, let's bring Alan's his loot back from the divorce that he lost. That's going to do it for us here on The Meltdown. We'll see you again tomorrow live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.